G'day guys. It is Seeney here, and thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. This is something a little bit different to what we normally do, because normally, we just have our regular videos that we do, try and pump them out every week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I thought, I've got a bit of time. I've had a few meetings on Zoom, and I had all the camera gear set up, so I thought it might be worth doing a live stream here on this channel. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about in this particular video, so make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. So if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. The channel's been getting a little bit more traction lately, so that's really great to see. So the two topics that I wanted to talk about today were, of course, the stock market and business. Okay, so business is such an important part of everything that I do, so I love to talk about it. Of course, the stock market is also really exciting too. So there's obviously been some very, very interesting moves recently in the stock market, which we're going to talk about in this particular video. So that's one thing we'll be talking about, and the other thing with businesses, we'll be talking about what it takes to actually be successful in business. So if you could hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. Just going to get myself some water. Bit thirsty. Awesome. So let me know how your day is going in the comments. Be really keen to hear from you. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the stock market is going down. There's no two ways about it. It's dropped quite significantly, actually. Let me bring it up. Let's bring up, say, the S&P 500 and P500 index, and let's have a look at how much it's actually dropped. So it's probably it seemed to be the 12th of October was the most recent high. We had a higher high before that, but it looks like it's gone from 3,500 all the way down to 3,200, which is quite a big drop. That's about 7.5% down. So that's that's a fair way. That's not your average drop. So it's really interesting that is the case, and I thought it would be worth discussing why that actually is. Now, for me, I believe that there's only one major reason that this is happening in the stock market at the moment. And I believe that reason is because there is a real uncertainness, I guess. There's a real uncertainness about what's happening with stimulus. Now, if we've learned one thing from the market this year, we very much learned that it is stimulus and the amount of money that's getting pumped into the system that is controlling where this market actually goes. You could see that, when there were all these shutdowns in the beginning, in March, everything got locked down, and that kind of sucked a lot. But when that happened, the market obviously tanked. But what we did see was the market start to come back up as soon as the Fed announced that they would be doing stimulus. And ever since that, I believe the market's had the confidence that that the Fed's going to do whatever they can do to help us get through this current event as we know it. So obviously I'm talking about the American market, because that is such a huge market cap in terms of the entire world. But in Australia, we've seen a lot of really similar things too. We've seen a lot of stimulus getting pumped through the system in the form of JobKeeper and JobSeeker. There's been a few different programs that have managed to keep businesses afloat and continue to have people employed during this time. But in particular in the States, they have pumped so much money into the system. So a lot of this money has obviously ended up in the stock market, but I think more importantly than that money ending up in the stock market is the fact that it's actually created a lot more confidence. The Fed has basically come out and said, we are happy to support the market and print basically as much as we need, trillions more, to help the country get through this particular economic downturn. And I think with that, a lot of the big institutions have taken a lead from that, and they've gone and reinvested the money. And I think that is pretty much why we have seen the market go up. But we've come to this period in time now where the market is not going up. It is going down about 7.5% for the S&P, as I just said. And I think that is very much because there is real uncertainty around the stimulus deal. So there's a bit of back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats over in the US about stimulus and when there's going to be a deal, how's the deal going to get done, etc., etc. All of these different things, and no one really knows. They're not sure what's going to happen with that. So I think that's kind of scared a few people off. So I think that's one reason. Now, there's also another reason that I think is a really important one to talk about, and that is, of course, the fact that cases around the world have started to flare up a little bit more. Now, this is pretty obvious. We've seen all the figures from all around the world except Australia because, we're just smashing it. But what we've seen is that cases are going up massively all across Europe, all across the UK, all across America, massive portions of the world, to the point where some countries have actually started to lock down again. Now, this is not good. This is really bad, in fact, because as countries start to lock down, it really seizes up the business activity. And because the world is so globalized at this point, then what's happening is it's having a knock-on effect to all of these other places around the world. Europe is so intertwined with America, which is so intertwined with China, which is so intertwined with Australia. We all rely a lot on each other in terms of the global economy. So I think this is one of the big reasons why we are seeing a downturn in the market, because France is getting locked back up, and that's going to obviously result in a massive reduction in business activity. So you see this drop in business activity, and you see that there's no stimulus that's going into the market in the near future. And what that tells me is that for some people, it seems to be a good time to sell stocks because there is so much uncertainty going on there. And look, if you're one of those people that concentrates on those short-term fluctuations, then yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I could see how that could be an issue and why some people would want to sell out of this market. However, having said that, I've actually seen a lot of great deals that have turned up in the last couple of weeks due to this downturn. I've actually bought quite a considerable amount of stock because, I thought the market was riding quite high. So I was holding back my buying and focusing more on real estate. But having said that, now there's a lot more opportunities, I believe, that have actually turned up in the recent future. I've if any of you guys have been watching the videos on the channel, you would have seen that I've been talking about Dropbox stock, CrowdStrike, and Win, as well as Carnival. And I have bought all of those stocks recently in the last week or two. Dropbox in particular, I think, because it's very prone to weathering the downturns of the current economic climate, because it's basically a work from home stock. The cloud is so important. And the same thing with CrowdStrike, in the industry that they're in of cybersecurity and actually hunting down the malware attackers, so you know where it's coming from, as well as defending systems. That's obviously going to become more and more important as time goes on. The only one that's really exposed to an increase in coronavirus cases is, of course, Win stock and Carnival too. And, these have been beaten down a lot, and they've been beaten down a bit more, so I'm seeing some value in there. But I feel that those two are going to be quite long-term plays, because this is going to take a little while to get back to normal. Great news from Carnival and all of the other cruise lines is that they no longer have to stop sailing. They're allowed to, they basically just received an order where they can do conditional sailing. So that's really exciting. So cruising will come back. And it is going to take some time to get things back to normal. But I believe in the long term, Carnival especially is a massive company. And they're doing some great stuff prior to the pandemic. And I think that's going to continue once they get back on track. So I honestly don't think it has too much to do with the election. There's a lot of back and forth between, it's going to be higher taxes, going to be this, going to be that. But I think it's more to do with the Fed and to do with also some of the lockdowns and the increase in cases. So I think they're the main two contributing factors at this point. So there has been some fantastic buying opportunities. I just say take advantage of them. If you see some buying opportunities, go nuts, man. Okay, so that's the stock market. So now the next one that we are going to talk about, the next thing we're going to talk about is business, and in particular, how is it that some businesses have managed to do really well through this pandemic, and some have not managed to do really well, and some have even closed, which is really unfortunate. And I think what you see is obviously it has a little bit to do with the sector that the business is in. That's relatively important. If you're in a sector that's like travel, then chances are you're going to get crushed a lot more than someone that's in, say, the cloud space. So I think it's really important to recognize that first, which is a major contributing factor. So I think the reason that some businesses have really thrived is because they're really necessary. And that's not to say that not all businesses aren't necessary. It's necessary to keep people alive, obviously. But I think people really see value in what you're doing, which I think is probably the best way to describe it. So I think it comes down to the core principles of business, and that is having a great idea, having that idea that's really validated. People actually want it. Going over and above for people, providing continual excellence. And if you can do all of these things, I think there's a lot of value there for what your company can provide to the world. So I think that's one of the reasons that some businesses have really managed to thrive and others have really suffered. I know in my particular space, I've been quite lucky being in video because, of course, as the world moves more and more online, the only way to compete is to do it with video and get in front of people. And, if you want to have great quality content, then video is definitely, pro video is definitely the way to do that, to stand above everyone else with an iPhone. So, for myself and my business, it's really been part of the course. And we've seen some growth this year, which has been really great, that we've been able to contribute to a lot of people and what they're doing with their businesses and in other ways. So, yeah, it's been a weird year for sure. So thank you guys so much for watching the stream. But yeah, I think that's what's going on with the stock market. So who knows? We shall see what happens. It's a very, very strange year. I think we'll continue to go down in the short term, and more buying opportunities will be presented. But I'm pretty sure the stimulus deal is going to get done. It's usually the case. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you later.